reach out, that your skin can bring you so much pain. Now I hear you say, you got the best of both ways. Won't you come and take a walk in my shoes and tell me if you take my place?
All right, welcome to Shoe Geeks, March 2025. I am joined here by two podiatrists, and they also run, and they have a small degree of shoe knowledge as well. One of them is entering guru status. His name's Michael Nishke over here. Michael, Nitta, tell us, what makes you such a guru?
Well, look, I'm accepting of non-podiatrist opinions on shoes. That's why I do a podcast with you, Julian. That makes me a guru, accepting other people's opinions. It's part of the job, isn't it?
Tom,
No,
that's
not a guru, mate. A guru is someone who thinks they know everything.
It's been interesting in the group chat watching Nitta go out on some midlife crisis with the shoes that he's been loving.
Well, I definitely have one shoe today that I've been loving, but
Yeah, I feel like Tom and I are becoming closer, and you're becoming more extroverted in your shoe choice.
I think that's because I'm running more and you guys are running less.
We'll catch you soon. Don't worry.
Yeah, I know.
I'm running more, and Tom, you're running too.
We're making the comeback. Yeah, it's happening.
It's been fun to try out new shoes. Actually, I've got 3 this week. Why don't we start with a shoe that we all kind of love? I mean, because this is, I'll put it up on my screen. This is the Nike Vomero 18. I think anyone following my Strava knows I love it. Talked about it on the main show as well. You can see it's had some good use. So the Vomero has existed in the lineup, Nike's lineup, for a long time now. This is its 18th edition. Typically they go, well, in the past they've gone one a year, but this one here, I reckon the 17's been out for maybe longer than a year. They're sort of increasing the life cycle of the shoe now, so can't say 18 years anymore. It's always been their most cushioned daily trainer outside the Invincible. It's always sort of been my love for this shoe developed when it was the Vomero 10, when it sort of went to a geometry that became a little bit more user-friendly. It was very stable. It had a really nice fit. There was cushion, but it wasn't mushy. And then it changed dramatically when it went to the Vomero 14. We saw a much thinner forefoot. We saw a shallower lasting of the shoe. It still had its lovers, but I think the person that loved the 13, not many loved the 14. And then 15, 16, I don't think many people like those shoes. They sort of tried to do both, not well. But the Vomero 17 did win a few fans back. It was a lighter shoe. It had quite a substantial cushion through the heel. Into the forefoot, it was a lot thinner. It had some flex through the forefoot, provided a traditional feel, but still was a half Zoom X, half. I'm not sure what it was in the last model, maybe like a Cushlon or something. And Vomero 18 here, in my sort of I think I tried to sum it up by calling it a traditional geometry with a new, an innovative feel. That's sort of how I've tried to play this one. It looks like a traditional shoe. We're sitting on a 10 mil pitch. It has 44 mil in the heel and 34 in the forefoot, so it's quite stacked. It has a sandwich layer of foam. You can see here the 2 layers of foam. The Vomero is called out as React X on the bottom to stabilize the foot. It's firmer. It's an EVA. I think it's an EVA, actually. I'm not sure anymore. And then this Zoom X is we always thought it was PIBA, but there's a few whispers that maybe the training foam in Nike shoes is not PIBA, even though it's called out as Zoom X, that there's a lot of different variations of Zoom X. And it may be a TPEE. I think Nike is still trying to decide if they tell us exactly what the foam's compounds are. But this one certainly doesn't feel like the foam you find in an Alpha Fly or a Vaporfly.
in the group chat, Julian, I think you hit the nail on the head saying it doesn't really matter what the Zoom X foam is through here or the React X. It probably is. It feels a bit like a TPU, to be honest, underfoot. And it looks like the Zoom X is just basically a sidewall. I'm not even sure we're not even hitting the Zoom X under the foot. I'm not 100% sure, but it feels like it's mainly React X. But it works well. This is the best Vimero by feel and the safest and probably the most reliable Vimero since the 13th version, I reckon.
Agree. What were your initial impressions when you put it on the foot?
Look, initially it was, I didn't wear the 17 for long. I ended up giving that one away. I bottomed out the 4-foot a fair bit. So I had straight away more guts. It had more guts than the 17th version underfoot. That, like you sort of talked about it being a bit more traditional. The rocker's a bit more exaggerated than the previous version. The 17th version was very traditional in terms of its frontal plane geometry and sagittal plane geometry. This one through here comes to a higher stack height. It felt like it had more response underfoot. It didn't feel necessarily extremely soft for me, but it did feel the same at the end of an hour run as it did at the start of the run. So it was soft enough, but it was responsive enough. Look, it's a super reliable shoe. Initially, I thought it would feel heavy on the foot. It feels a bit heavy in the hand when I have it, but it definitely doesn't feel heavy on the foot. Like, I think that's the response effect when you hit the ground. The TPU material, EVA, or the React X is doing what it's meant to be doing. The surface area on the forefoot, if you show it, Julian, is quite broad, and the midfoot's relatively broad, and the rear foot's very broad. So, and like all Nike shoes in the past, decade or so, the outsole is really good as well. Like, it grips well. It's non-invasive. It doesn't add too much weight to the shoe. It's almost one of the most reliable neutral-based mileage running shoes you have on the shelf, I would say, compared to all the other brands. Such an easy shoe. I know it would work for at least 80% of the population, with perhaps maybe a wide foot, like you said, being the major reason why someone wouldn't be able to get into it. But it still fits relatively generously for a normal foot. Maybe not then.
I think you dropped out. Tommy, did Nitta just drop out for a bit?
No, he was good for me.
Okay. Why this shoe feels so stable to me is these sidewalls that we're talking about here. You can sort of see there is like this bubble, call it like a convex kind of shape. And what that does is, as you load the shoe there, instead of like up front, you can see up front there's like a convex shape almost where they sort of collapse on one another. But at the back here, there's just so much stability through that shaping at the back. And someone like me that does put a little bit more pressure medially and needs that little bit more structure and integrity through the medial side, you get it in this shoe. So we have like a range, or there's always been a range of more stable neutral options. Like, not all neutral shoes are created equal in terms of stability. And I'd probably contrast this to a shoe like the Nova Blast, which is also a neutral shoe. It's a jogging shoe. I don't feel stable in that shoe at all, but I feel incredibly stable in a shoe like this one.
It's interesting. The Nimbus had the same. I'm loving that you're talking about, this convex theory of the midsole. But remember, the Nimbus had the convex as well. I felt that when the Nimbus 25 and 26 came out, but they were super soft, but it was stable enough because of that geometry as well.
Yeah. How are you finding this, Tom?
Yeah, I'm loving it. It's to be honest, I haven't really loved any Vimero in the past. So I was historically like a Pegasus guy. I used to love Pegasus. And then I transitioned from Pegasus to the Luna model. So I used to love the Flyknit Luna, the original. And then as the iterations of those, I love them all as my daily. And then we transitioned into the Epic React, and I love the first Epic React. And then honestly, since that got phased out into the Infinity, I haven't really loved any Nike daily trainers. And I would say pretty much until this shoe, like I had no expectations because I didn't love the 17s. I thought it was kind of heading in the right direction, but this to me is like another massive jump in the right direction. So yeah, everything you boys have said, like it's soft yet stable, which is like can be a really hard thing to achieve that real nice soft bounce whilst still just not feeling in any way unstable. A bit like the Invincible and stuff like that. Shoes like the 1080, like they're extremely soft, but I I don't love them, and they're the sort of the shoes I see people coming into clinic with niggles around the foot and ankle, just from probably the wobble factor that you get from the real soft stuff without any stabilizing elements. But I'm super happy with this model. So I've already convinced my one and only friend Jack Maxwell to purchase a pair yesterday. So
he found some. That's good. Someone's still got stock, because that in store like this, it's hard work not to sell it to everyone who comes in.
And Julian, from a podiatry perspective, like it's been hard to connect to, like, we see mainly problems in the clinic, right? So we're always trying to put people into a safe shoe a lot of the time. And like at Nike, the Vomero hasn't been a safe shoe. It's been a heartless shoe to start for a period of time as well. It's categorically, you can put this thing, you give people the option of a Ghost to this and an 880, for example, like you've always put them with. And now it's an option again. Like it's not just for like the people who love Nike now. It is actually categorically a really, really safe, fun shoe. So it's going to sell out, and you need a lot of stock of it because it's going to fit more population than previous.
Yeah, I agree. And as a retailer, I think we are like we see a heavier percentage of people who need a safe shoe than someone who might be buying online, who aren't injured and who can take more punts on shoes. Whereas we see someone who comes in store who wants a little bit more in-depth fitting, because they might be looking to unload an injury or get through training with something going on with their foot. So we're probably a little bit more in that conservative sort of, we sell more conservative shoes than some other stores, I reckon. And this, there hasn't been a lot of Nike options for that person, especially someone who's needed width. So this isn't a wide shoe, but it's definitely more generous than some of their other models that they've had. I feel like it's a perfect width for me. I'm medium to slightly wide. There have been foot shapes that haven't got in this that we've had in store, and they're mainly getting sort of pressure and strangled through this area here. Not so much, it's not as pointy as other Nike shoes, so it's pretty good up here. It's just back here, it's still a little bit cramped for some people. But later on, it will come out in a 4E option. Like we're going to see it with some width, hopefully in the end of the year. So that's going to be a real treat for some wide feet.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. The other thing worth talking about with this shoe is it costs $220. Now, I know you blokes love some cheap Adidas shoes, and you love your Pulse from Asics, but those things do not compare to this shoe at $220.
Now tell me, was the 17th version 220?
240.
It's come down. It's a better shoe when it's come down.
Yeah,
let's unravel that. Is that the midsole material? Are we saving on midsole material? Is that what it is? How are we getting it down?
So this is my theory, and it's a theory. I haven't had this confirmed by anybody, so bear with me. Don't take it as gospel. But I think Nike, given their struggles in the running world, and it's not a secret that they're not up there in sort of the upper echelons of the running industry in terms of sales, that kind of thing. They do really good racing shoes. Their credibility is high in the racing category. On the track, it's high. But in daily trainers, for the everyday person, they are struggling. So the Nike Vomero is a shoe that is appropriate for a lot of different foot shapes, running mechanics, body weights. You can walk in the shoe. You can do a run walk program, or you can run 30K in it, no problems. I think they've worked out that this is their entry back into the running community and to the back of pack, middle of pack runners. They're going to get hardcore runners wearing this, but they're also going to get new runners wearing this. And if they can drop the price to make it incredibly attractive at $220, then they're going to get they're hooking that person back into a Nike shoe. And that's going to do really well for their future, especially when that person has such a good experience as they do in a shoe like this.
I know it's March, but it's going to be tough to find a shoe. It's going to be tough to find a shoe more reliable than that, or a better upgrade than that shoe for the whole calendar year, I reckon.
Yeah, it's sort of excited me, and we struggled to see samples of these sorts of shoes. Like Nike have struggled with samples in the past. So we were only going off drawings, and I had no idea it was going to be this good. Like when it came in store and I put it on my foot, I was like, oh, this is it. This is it.
Moose, how's because like historically, not but in recent years, Nike kind of went to the direct to consumer route, and now they're trying to turn things around. Have you found the communication and dealing with Nike since they tried to turn the ship?
Yeah, so we as a retailer, Nike have went away from the real personable contact with the brand. So we were often sort of just dealing with, chatbots and there wasn't a lot of personal touch from Nike to the retailer. But that all changed probably a year ago when I think there was a directive to go, let's get back in stores and let's work. They sort of worked out that the running community did want personal contact, and people to people is always the best. And you can build relationships that way. So they changed their structure internally. We have a rep that's now been in our store multiple times. I reckon after having a store for maybe 7-8 years, we don't have a Nike employee come in once, and now we're getting regular visits from our Nike employee. They've got wear test kits, but they're not just doing massive Nike, the whole Nike show wear test kit where you put on DJs and all this and that. They're actually coming down to local run clubs, and they're not bringing the bells and whistles. They're just trying to introduce Nike back on a smaller, more personal scale. And it's actually been great. I think they're really doing well. They do bra education sessions. So they're trying to educate the running community as well, not just sell to them.
Yeah, it's good to see.
Good.
Yeah, it's been a big turnaround from them. I kind of thought they were gone a few years ago. I thought they would just gone to the business model of maximizing sales, minimizing costs at the cost of a relationship with people. And I think they've turned it around.
Yeah, good.
All right. Do you want me to go into my next shoe?
Yeah,
I do.
You boys both have this one?
Yeah,
no.
we do.
Tommy, you got one?
No, don't have one.
Oh, what? You don't have one yet?
No.
I went and picked mine up from Max from the running company in Adelaide. So, look, I don't know. Tom's bought a $750 shoe before. I think $420 is well within grasp.
Can't be
once you give me the review, then I'll make my decision. So,
or do you want me to reel off some stats first?
Go stats first, Julian. I'll go into feel.
All right, cool. So, Endorphin Elite 2. This builds on the first model that I think was one of the most underrated race shoes out there. The last model had Power Run HG, which was like a firmer slab of PBA foam on the bottom, whereas now they've gone to a foam called Incredi Run, and it's the softest foam that I've ever felt in a shoe. It still has a carbon plate. You can see from the bottom that it's this segmented outsole, so this sort of big cutout through the lateral midfoot here almost creates two sort of sections to the shoe. This upper, it's I'm not even sure what they call the upper, but it feels like some sort of webbing, almost like what you might have found in in that light spray from On, but it's just it's not like that. It is sort of strong fibers. I'm not sure what they call it. They don't really call it anything. The heel counter is very soft. There's actually nothing in there. It's not plastic. It just feels like it's just part of that foamy type upper material. It weighs, it's 39.5 to 31.5, so an 8 mil pitch. It weighs 200 grams. And yeah, this underneath, you can see the outer sole. It's just a thin sort of rubber. Nothing crazy here. Keep the weight down. Go on, Nitta.
Look, it's without a doubt when you put your foot in this shoe for the first time, it's definitely, it'll probably have some polarizing views, I reckon, when you immediately put your heel down on the ground. It's definitely the most extreme change in a midsole material I've felt since I put a super shoe on. I felt as soon as I put my heel down, it's so soft. I put the forefoot down, it's so soft. But then when you start to run in it, you think something's so soft, you bottom this shoe out, or it'll collapse, or it'll feel really unstable. Look, when you walk in it, it feels really unstable. There's no doubt about that. And when you start to run at it and you increase the pace, it has huge bounce. This TPE midsole is extremely responsive as well. It is soft on the ground. It's extremely responsive. The upper it just wraps around the foot really well. It's quite a good fit. It breathes really well. I thought the heel counter might be a concern, but it is quite light. It does wrap around the foot. You don't even know you've got the foot on top of your foot. It really is just attached. You're sitting in within the PIBA-based, like the PIBA-based up, like sidewalls up through here as well, the coloured point. But yeah, so when I was running, I took it for a run and run at multiple paces. If I run at 4-minute K pace around the bends, even on the forefoot, I feel like if you hit the edges, like the medial lateral side, it really conforms a lot. So it feels like the shoe is going to move that direction for a long period of time. And then when you hit the ground a bit harder and you run a bit faster, it's like a smaller sweet spot. It feels more stable. It feels a bit better. It is definitely the most unique feeling foam. It feels very protective underfoot. I do not feel the ground whatsoever when I hit the ground. I don't know if I could wear it for a shorter race. I think it's probably a little bit unstable around corners and things like that compared to equivalents. But I reckon I could probably run a marathon in this pretty well. I think it's a very protective shoe. Whether it changes when I start to get near the end of the marathon, I'm not 100% sure. I without a doubt will use this on the roads for a lot of training. I reckon it'll be almost the best training flat that I have. Although for $420, you want to race in it. So I think I need to take it on like a 10K race or a 21K race to see. But it is a foam that is as soft as I've ever felt, but yet it still responds as well as any other super shoe on the market. So the most unique feeling since I put the Alpha 1 on for a shoe, I reckon. Different reasons, but just the most unique I've felt.
Yeah, you're right. It's incredibly soft. Walking in it to me feels horrible. I feel like the upper maybe wasn't secure enough for how soft the sole was. But that was at slower paces. And then when I did some strides in it yesterday, it felt a lot better. And that's maybe I ran 4-minute 20s jogging, and it didn't feel good like that at all. And I just can't. I can jog in some super shoes, but this shoe I cannot jog in. I felt horrible. But as soon as I started,
I feel that slower pace, you can feel the segment, Julian, a little bit as well. You can feel the shoe deviate, and I couldn't feel it when I was running fast. I was probably hitting here, but when I was hitting further back, I could feel the segment of the shoe, that large cutout in the lateral side. Yeah.
It's not going to be the shoe for someone who's heavy on their feet, who lands right at the back. It's another shoe that's going to require someone at faster paces, up a little bit higher, maybe through their midfoot. But yeah, I haven't done a workout in it yet, only strides and only a jog. And it's going to get a test out on Friday. But that foam, it's a little disconcerting to me. Like, it's so different and it's so soft that I just don't have a lot of confidence in it right now. It just, I don't know. There's something about it being so different that just worries me slightly.
Do you feel?
I went out for half. Sorry, you go, Tom.
I was just say, do you feel, Julian, it's the same with Nitta, that you actually get the response off that softness, off the back of the softness?
Yeah, look, what I'll say is that when I took it, I did 3 by 7 minutes, and I did some fartlek at the end at faster paces. The whole workout was a bit over 35 minutes in the end. The shoe felt as good at the end as it did at the start. It felt a bit better as I went into fartleks at faster paces as well. But I had this feeling that I just didn't have this thing on my foot the whole time. It was just unbelievable. So that was a pace that was like between 320 and 330 pace, and the fartlek might have been 310 pace. I haven't jogged in the shoe. I wouldn't do it. But I'm confident I could wear this at marathon pace. I have no idea what it's going to be like after an hour. So, something that is so compliant, maybe gets a bit worse as the duration goes on as well. I have no idea. But look, these TPE midsole foams, like, some of the companies are getting this right now. I'm almost enjoying the TPE midsoles more than I am the PIBA midsoles, just because they are more responsive to me and they feel a bit superficially quite soft as well. So if they get it right. But this is definitely the most unique one I've felt so far. So I'm not 100% confident either, Julian, but I still reckon it's going to work for a lot of people. I think you need to be a bit lighter weight for sure. I think if you're on a lighter weight, you're going to find the shoe much better. So if you're, below 75, 80 kilos, you probably get away with it. Start getting above 80 kilos, I reckon it could be a bit messy.
Yeah, that's a good point.
It seems like the magic though, right? Because if you have a foam that's compliant, but also responsive, it's essentially like that's the spring, right? So it's a longer spring.
Yeah.
You
think you're going to sit down in the shoe and then you know the bounce comes back. They've done something really, really good with the foam and the plate combination there for sure.
All right, I'll go on to my next one because we're in the same sort of area here. You can sort of see this is the Hoka Cielo X1 version 2. So there was a few people that liked the X1. I didn't. I found it kind of heavy, a bit clunky. This one drops weight. We're at 220 grams. We still have a Piba midsole. Let me pull up what Hoka call their midsole material here. I'm not sure they actually call it anything. Yeah, I don't know a name for it, but it's Piba midsole. The carbon plate in the shoe has a wing, probably just for a bit more stability purposes, and this does feel more stable than the Endorphin Elite. The Piba foam is firmer, like it's a higher density. It's a slightly heavier shoe. Underneath, you can see segmented as well, except this back corner pod is very exposed and isolated. Big cavity between the rest of the midsole and this sort of crash pad area here. You can see it's just got massively exaggerated toe spring, right, and that's right where the wing of the plate is. I ran in this morning for the first time doing a workout, and it gave me a feel like the Rebellion Pro used to, in that I can feel like a lot more height that sits sort of around here. And when I landed, it felt like I was landing on top of like a lump or a hump, almost like if you're on a mountain bike and you land on top of a jump instead of on the back side of the jump. It's like an abrupt, harsh feeling. But if you land on the down ramp, then it's a nice smooth ride off it. That's sort of the feeling that I got when I landed here.
Did you feel that with Rebellion Pro 2 and 3 as well?
A little bit, yeah. A little bit.
Yeah. It's funny, like got it. I ended up putting a 4mm heel pitch into those shoes, not for the basis of lifting the heel up, because your heel's not touching the ground, but purely to try and level off the heel relative to the midfoot. So you felt like there was no transitional, there was no lump, if that makes sense. And that works a treat sometimes. If you feel like you're almost got this negative heel because your midfoot's lifted up prominently, sometimes a pitch in the shoe, those shoes shouldn't truly need a pitch, but if you want to get rid of that feeling, that does solve it usually.
Yeah, good point. Yeah, but do you want, like someone commented on my Strava today, actually, when I said, I felt like I needed to land more midfoot for the shoe to feel smooth. They're like, is that a good thing for a shoe to be almost adjusting your gait, perhaps to be a little bit more efficient? Or should a shoe work with a runner as they are?
Yeah, it should accommodate the gait. You shouldn't change it, I don't think.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think a shoe should
change. There's got to be a cost, I reckon. There's usually going to be an economical cost, I think, if it's working against you a little bit.
And this shoe felt, the Endorphin Elite felt like I didn't need to change my gait doing the strides, whereas the Hoka, I felt like I needed to almost plantar flex my foot when I was landing to try to hit that midfoot section rather than land in the top of the fulcrum almost, or the backside of the fulcrum. It did feel really abrupt. I didn't like the feel of that. But as
the influencers say, like remember the Rebellion Pro, they said, it will reward people with for good form. Is that right? When that efficient gait, that must drive you nuts.
Well, yeah, I like a shoe. You should put it on. We don't try to convince people it's going to be good for them. We try to let them decide if they jump on the treadmill and listen to the feedback that they give us on how that shoe feels to them. Like if I see someone running in a shoe and they're like, if they're in that, in this, for instance, and they've got this massive heel strike, perhaps we're not going to try that shoe for them, or perhaps we're going to sort of suggest there might be better options. But if the shoe feels amazing to them, and we don't see anything sort of biomechanically that outside the norm, it's okay. it's fine. Like some people will get on well with that, but I want them to get off a treadmill and tell me, oh, that shoe felt smooth, it felt easy, felt like there was nothing on my foot. That's what we sort of look for with racing shoes. You boys don't have that yet?
Nah, you'd like that, I reckon.
Someone probably. I mean, I don't mind the Rebellion Pro either. I'd like it to be a bit less exaggerated, and if that's a little bit less exaggerated, that's probably ideal. I haven't worn a Hoka racing shoe since I reckon I tried the Rocket X1, the really low pitch one. Used to love it for long runs, Tom, but I found that I had to put like 16 mils of heel raise to make it work for me. So.
Yeah. What's happening with the Rocket X? Because people have been asking, and I have no idea what's happening.
It's coming good again. Back after the year, the X3, it's actually a really nice update. Doesn't get the same sort of like rocker as this. It's more of a normal type shoe, less exaggerated. It gets a good foam. It's light. I've got a sample of it in Torquay. Bree's going to go do a workout in it soon to really give us an idea. But yeah, I like it. It's coming mid-year. It's not out yet.
Do you
reckon how are Hoka separating those two shoes? Are they separate? Oh, sorry, Tom, you go.
No, you're right. Go.
I was just saying, how are Hoka separating those two? The CLO X2 and the Hoka. Like, is there one high performing, high cost? Is it like an Alpha Vaporfly type scenario thing going on?
There's not a lot of direction, to be perfectly honest, from the brand. It's sort of up to us to work out how we explain the shoes. Yeah, some brands are quite good at getting the messaging across, and others aren't. This is sort of left to our own devices here. I mean, the rep that we have, he's not a runner. He doesn't quite know. But
what are runners wearing? The elites, like say Hoka sponsored athletes, are they heading more towards this or back into the Rocket? What's happening there?
From what I've seen, they're wearing this at the moment. But the Rocket X3 is not out yet. So I think that'll be a bit more of a fair comparison when this shoe goes up against the Rocket X3, because this is a much more dynamic feel. Like there's a lot more toe spring. There's more pop off the forefoot, but it is more exaggerated. And I think anytime you go more exaggerated, there's the potential for that exaggeration to cause issues or annoyance as the run goes on.
I reckon a lot of the brands are doing it. They have like it's almost like a more experimental model, like say Saucony you just mentioned, like the Elite versus the Pro. The Pro is probably more, suits a broader base of runners, and like Alpha and Vapor, well, to some extent, like just a bit more wild geometry in one, and then a little bit more traditional geometry in the other.
Yep, agree.
Pick what you want.
What have you boys been wearing? Run us through a few.
Do you want to go first, Tom?
I haven't been, nothing. I don't think I've been running anything new since last time we chatted, apart from Vomero 18. But I will chat about the Tracksmith shoe I got. I got this guy here. So it looks like a pretty low stack shoe, right?
Yeah, where's the rest of it, mate?
Yeah. So Tracksmith, they've only got two models, right? So there's the Elliott Trainer, which I quite like. So the Elliott Trainer is like the closest comparison I reckon is actually like the original Pegasus Turbo. It just feels like good foam in a lower stack kind of profile. Yeah, and so Tracksmith brought out this their first racer, and I think it's been in the works for ages, for like over a year. I think it's been delayed a number of times, but I got it, and what I was sort of most interested in is it looks like quite a low stack shoe, but it's got this massive insole. The insole is the midsole, so it's super chunky. So this is it here. So it's got like a thin fabric liner directly on top of this big chunky bit of foam. So this foam is, I think, from what I've read, is ATPU, which is the same foam that I've been playing around with in clinic. I think it's also the same foam that Puma uses as their nitro foam, and potentially some of the Light Strike in Adidas models are using this stuff as well.
PPE, I think, isn't it?
I think it's ATPU.
Is it? Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. The base of it and that concept looks very similar to the Cloud.
Exactly. So Other models I've seen, like I think it's that is it Normal, the one from Kilian Jornet? What's his model? What's his brand? That shoe has a big drop in. That shoe has a big drop in midsole, and I believe they have models with different densities. Is that like you can put in a separate?
I've seen that historically. Yeah, they'd have like a PIBA based one, a TPU based one. Is that right? And they had an EVA based one as well. You could change the liner inside the shoe. Yeah.
So I reckon there's potential here. So like when I first read about the Elliott Racer, they were going to come in the box with 2 sets of these. So you would get used to the shoe with the original liner, and then race day you'd chuck in the new or the fresh drop in midsole. I only got one. I don't know if it's going to be happening or not, because the pair I got only has one insole. I did speak to Nick from Tracksmith, and he is talking about like tuning it for athletes. So for example, if I give feedback and say it's a bit soft, they got the ability at the factory just to make a high density version of this, like quite easily and quickly, I think. So that's kind of cool. I think that adaptability is nice. And I guess if there's a proof of concept there, as long as the messaging is right, I think it could also have like a commercial aspect for people to maybe have buy-in to be able to choose like their density that they prefer, or a fresh pair that they could use. And on that, like the shoe's expensive, so I think that was a good value add. So I hope they do it, because it retails $500 here, so it's significantly more than it's significantly more than
I mean, you get the opportunity here to be able to accommodate different body masses as well. You know, like that hasn't been done in midsole. I mean, without changing the complete shoe, but to be able to take a part of the shoe and say, look, you know, this is a heavier based midsole and this is a lighter based one, and I don't know, it's a great opportunity. We'll share the shoe with your partner if you've got the same size or something like that. Just pull one there.
So the adaptability is one, and then also like I actually do think there's a interesting performance element, and I think Jordan was talking about it with the Strike Cloudboom Strike, like the elimination of a strobel or an insole, like a thin EVA insole between the foot and the midsole. So it's like your foot is directly on the midsole, it's directly on the ATPU. And to be honest, it does feel like this shoe to me feels higher stack than equivalent stack height models. Yeah. But it's only like it's a 38. I think it's like a 38 to 30 stack. And this morning I've done 2 sessions in it. This morning I did Deek's quarter session in it. And I took my Metaspeed Edge and my Vaporfly 3s and just did strides in all of them. And it feels definitely higher stack than both of those models. Softer, like just feels like there's more guts to it, more cushion. And it functions a bit like I guess to compare it to the shoes I've used, like it's probably closest to an Edge Paris from Asics, but just softer. And maybe a little bit more foam underfoot.
Is that the rocker? How do you compare the rockers of the?
It feels a little bit more rocketed than the Edge. I don't know if it actually visually it doesn't look like much rocker. So I don't know whether I'm getting like a functional rocker as the 4-foot compressors or something like this. But and also like it's not overly stiff, which for me I really like this. I like the fact that they've got a really thin carbon plate in there. And it's actually got some flex to it. It's not going to suit everyone. Like I think everyone would have an ideal bending stiffness, but I think as a whole, like a lot of models are probably making their carbon plates too stiff.
That drop in midsole looks more like it's got more toe spring compared to the shoe externally. So when you take out the
this follows the carbon plate. This is the shape of the carbon plate. So this is, I guess, the plate will accentuate the rocker. So yeah, you're right. This is a complete sort of visual representation of the plate and the rocker. So it's probably more than what it looks externally when you look at the shoe. So like to be honest, like I'm not. I know you're probably give me shit for being biased about using Tracksmith because they're giving me some gear, but they're not paying me. And there's no. I
like it. It's good. Have you worn it on date? Have you worn it on date night yet? Have you worn it on date night yet?
Yeah. Some people think it's a good, it looks like a nice golf shoe and all this sort of stuff. Yeah. I don't mind the aesthetics, to be honest. That might be my taste, but I don't mind the aesthetics.
We're almost 40.
Yeah. So to be honest, even if it wasn't their first shoe, if it was their third or fourth iteration of a race shoe, I think they've done a good job.
Talking about more once again, talking about TPU performance races, it's definitely a bigger talking point than it was 2 or 3 years ago. That's for sure.
Yeah. What have you been in, Nitta?
Look, the only one I want to go through now is you've had this shoe for a while, and I know, Julian, you might be stocked it in the future, is the 80 Evo SL. I've had it now for about 2 weeks, and look, I've already worn this shoe for 100Ks in 2 weeks. I've absolutely loved it. So categorically, it's a performance trainer or a low performance trainer. I think they got the, I guess the idea or the concept or the aesthetics from the Evo Pro 1, but this is the training version of it. They use the Light Strike midsole Pro through the whole midsole. It's funny, Adidas give the specs of, I think it's 37 and 30.5. If you go into run repeat, the guy with the calipers, and he sort of goes through the metrics, he's measured at about 20, 27 and 35. So it does feel lower to the ground than me than a high stack shoe. It weighs in about 240 grams for size 10.5. And look, it looks beaten up, and I live 80% of my running's in the national park, so it looks brown. But when this shoe came out the box, the white Adidas, the black stripes, and this really thick thin continental outsole, it's like every clean aesthetic design you could imagine in a shoe. It was fantastic. The midsole is a bit on the firmer side for me, even though it's a Light Strike Pro. It's a TPE based midsole. It's super responsive. The only way I could describe it is the rocker is quite proximal in this one. I think it's the same in the Evo Pro. Is that right, Tom? The rocker sort of starts about 60% back. Is that right, within the shoe? Quite far back. This is the most naturally rockered shoe that I put my foot in for daily training. I enter into the ground slightly biased in the forefoot, and it feels responsive underfoot. I feel the ground a bit more. But considering how high stacked the shoe is, categorically it's probably closer to like a Nova Blast, maybe a little bit lower to the ground. Because the midsole is so firm and responsive, this shoe is without a doubt the shoe that I would want to do a lot of my longer runs in. It feels as good, if not better, at the end of the long run. But it's the only high stack shoe I've worn for a long time. You know how you put the Super Blast on, it feels fantastic. It's so protective. It's actually quite responsive, but it does feel a bit bulky underfoot, especially when you first put it on in the morning and you go for a run. This shoe does not feel bulky at all. It's super nimble. It takes bends away. I think it's just the natural aspect of the rocker being so smooth and gradual. It's obviously flexible. There's no plate in the shoe. It's a non-plated shoe. But what they've done, they've put this little plastic shank in the middle of the shoe. So if I flex it, it is biased to flexing more in the forefoot. I can't flex the midfoot. So it is stable. The only thing worth noting is that when you look at the surface area and the base of the forefoot, true to Adidas, the heel's a little bit narrower. The midfoot's a bit narrower. So look, because the midsole is quite firm, it is stable, but it is a bit less stable in terms of surface area on the base of the rear and the midfoot. But the forefoot is truly stable. So this is a true lightweight performance trainer. You could race in it. You can do tempos. You can do surges. You can do long runs where you pick up the pace. You could do an easy run, but the issue with the shoe being an easy run, it does feel a bit snappier and a bit faster, so it's a bit less protective, even though it's full Light Strike Pro. That's the best shoe in that category I've worn, I think, ever in that performance trainer category. And I think it retails at maybe $240 off memory. So it's it's the price of a Nova Blast, but probably functions a bit more closer towards a Super Blast or somewhere between that and a Nova Blast. It's a really good shoe.
Yeah, they've nailed it. It's that's coming out this year, hasn't it? That's got to be that'll be a contender for shoe of the year. Is it hard to access, Julian? Is it can you get it in big mass, or they didn't produce a lot of it, or what's the story with its availability to the public?
I think initially when it came out, the stores that bought it did not buy enough of it. They did not anticipate the demand, or they might have underappreciated how good of a shoe it is, and so no one had stock for very long at all. And then as we go along, like most shoes, it becomes a little more open to the market. And once you've experienced a sell-in that's gone, well, like an opening launch of a product that's gone so well, people will start buying more of it for their stores in the future. And that includes like online for the brand is the same thing, is that they allocate units to their online store. And if the person that's buying for that online store hasn't worked out that it's going to be a massive player, then they just won't buy enough. And then it just runs out. And it's not like these guys can just go to China and say, hey, we want another 1,000 pairs of this for the next week, please. That just doesn't work that way in footwear. It's always 6 month plus out. Occasionally they'll do second buys of something, but that second buy means you're probably 4 months out. Like,
now, is that the current stage for this shoe? Is the second buy coming up for this shoe? Is that right, or was it the first buy?
The first buy is done. The second buy is done.
Yep.
This will be coming up to the next. Like, I don't know the full details of these because I haven't been one of the buyers, but I like you'd be coming into the third season of the shoe coming up, I believe. Yeah. So you probably should see more of it out there. I've run in it. I went for a 10K run around the 10, and I'm with you. It feels like the do-it-all type shoe. You could definitely do workouts in it if you wanted. I would sell it. We have a specific type of customer that pretty much just runs easy, runs fast, and that would be the perfect shoe for them.
Spot on. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I reckon this month the Vimero 18, the Evo SL, and the Endorphin Elite 2, I reckon it's been the most enjoyable like change in footwear I've had since we've done the podcast. I reckon those three together. Yeah, they're all a bit polarizing, but yeah, it's been good this month. They've nailed some shoes.
Yep. All right. Well, that's a pretty good month, fellas. I'm not sure we have any listener questions this week. Why don't we leave it there? And then next week, or we may even do why don't we do a mid-month catch up, but we just don't go through shoes. We get questions from the field.
Yeah. Questions and rants. I can cover a couple of rants as well. I've got a couple to lay out eventually, but I need to prepare them.
I've got some good ones ready to go too. I am so sick of it. There's some things.
Tom's a big ranter these days as well. Tom really wants to get involved, and nice platform for a rant.
What? Your order's cut out. What are you talking about?
I said we're looking for the next one we'll do listener questions and a bit of a rant fest.
Oh, you're missing the rant. Yeah, we'll do some questions.
You want a rant as well? Yeah, for sure.
I'd like to.
Ultimate fence sitter.
Johnny boys, see you for that catch up, which we'll organise.
Easy. All right, have a good day, guys.
See you guys.
the groove.